What's up, guys? Welcome to Landscapes by Acme and Landscaping to the Point. I am off today. I think we're all off today. But welcome, everybody. This is Landscaping to the Point. We are live on a bunch of channels. If you know us, we are a green industry show. We talk about all kinds of stuff, green industry related, non-green industry related. Who knows what we're going to talk about every day that we're on here. But I am Scott, your host, and I'm joined by JC right below me, and Josh. He is the bottom person today. So welcome, everybody, and welcome to the show. So it's November, guys. I don't know what we can say much more, but it's November. It's the second week of November. We got a great topic today. We're talking about what downtime do we have downtime? I think as a business owner, we're always on point to where we're always trying to think ahead and try to get ahead of what is there to be done. And even on our weekends, I feel like as business owners, we're always doing something to try to keep us busy and get ahead of where we're at. So I want to welcome everybody that's watching us on Instagram. If you're watching this on YouTube, welcome. Chat up all you want to chat up. We love your chats. Always glad to have everybody on here when they're on here. So, Josh, I'm going to throw it to you first because I know you're never busy. You're like a six crew guy. You got guys that just do everything for you. So you're pretty much not even around half the time, right?
I wish that was the case. Yeah, I'm
You
trying
know
to think
you
how to
are.
answer this. No, man, no.
Do you have downtime?
I want to say yes, but this month
Okay.
no.
Okay.
I do try to limit my work hours. In the past, I have been very successful with that. This year, because it's been so slow and up and for us, that hasn't really been the case. It's been like kind of like a hustle to try to get things going. So I've been very sloppy with the downtime. And when I do have downtime, I don't think that I use it to its full potential of what I could be doing with it. To be honest with you, I kind of have to get back on better habits, and executing a little bit better. But downtime, I'm hoping that I'm going to get some downtime between the week before Christmas and hopefully a few weeks in between to kind of just get some personal stuff done. I've kind of let the house go a little bit, and I got to get some projects going and finish some projects that I started in the summer.
So really, I don't consider that downtime because you're doing stuff for your at home to do list. So technically, is that really considered downtime?
From the shit show, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You got to figure, like, my phone starts 5 a.m. in the morning. My phone starts ringing and emails start coming in, and it's like that. Jesus Christ. It's like that's about 8 o'clock. Yeah, it sounds like it. Till about 8 o'clock at night. So, well, I mean, I consider it downtime because, I mean, doing stuff at the house, you kind of move at your own pace and get it done,
Right. So, JC, do you have downtime? I know you're busy with your other job and still trying to do a bunch of stuff. Do you have downtime?
I do have downtime, and it's almost the same thing. Like I always plan on what I want to do on my downtime before my downtime arrives. And when it gets to that point, I just get lazy sometimes, man. I don't I go a weekend or something, planning on wanting to do certain things, and I maybe get like 5% of that stuff actually done that I wanted to. But it's kind of like the time of the year now. Like definitely in the summertime, I have less downtime. In the spring as well. But once it comes to like wintertime, I don't really do too much during the wintertime. I don't like the cold. I don't like being out there. So I try to do some things, and a lot of it's like being productive. Getting stuff done around the house, getting projects that you've been putting to the side completed. You know, as much as that seems like it's work in itself, it's still something that you do for fulfillment. So, like, you know, just having those projects that you want to kind of tackle, and hopefully get to a point like this. I have an old rear reel mower, like from the 1918, 1915, that I wanted to restore, and I just never gotten around to doing it. And hopefully, when I have some more downtime, I'll be able to tackle it.
That's good. I mean, I think that we always have stuff to do on our downtime, and even at home, we always find that there is something to do. And even Josh, do you feel like when you're at your shop or you're out working, do you find stuff that you need to do that will help your business grow bigger, or to that stuff that you see that needs to be fixed or repaired, or things you could change?
Yeah, I was there Saturday, and that's kind of what stresses me out. Is I know I got enough work to get me through winter there, and that's kind of what stresses me out. Is we got a lot of internal infrastructure to build for some stuff that we're planning on doing next spring. That's gonna, I mean, dude, look, it felt like Halloween just passed. It's November 10th today. You know,
Yeah.
so like time's flying by. So it's like, say, oh, I'll take care of that, right before Christmas, and then before you know it, it's St. Patty's Day or something, So it's going by
Right.
quick. I always say that. So there's a lot to do, and that's why it's hard to navigate the downtime. Which, like I said, I do got to get better at just having that downtime of just doing nothing. And, I used to talk stillness and all this stuff, but haven't been very well at executing that this past year.
Yeah, it sometimes is hard to. I feel like even with me, I come up with a lot of stuff that has to be done, and especially when I'm at home, like on a weekend, I'll say, okay, I got this to do here at the house. I got a bunch of stuff to do at the shop because the shop's right there, and it always seems like I get like half the list done. I don't ever get all of it done, and then I'm like, okay, what do I got to do tomorrow? And then I start to add that into the next day's list, and because it's so short with trying to spend time with the family that I don't get it all done. So it's like that list keeps growing and growing every day as we go. And so I feel like I barely get some downtime. And when I do, it's like I'm still thinking about what needs to be done and what, I can do to keep going week to week,
You know what's tough is like obviously schedules help us out a lot in business. Having a certain client, certain time, certain day of the week that you go to and things like that. But like when it comes to personal life, I suck at making a schedule with my personal life. And sometimes you think that when you have the downtime, like maybe I could spend 2 hours on my hobby, or 2 hours on this project that I've been trying to accomplish, and maybe break it up that way. But also too, like, I don't know, do you feel that when you have everything scheduled that it's a freedom or it's more of a burden?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like it's more, I don't know. It's kind of hard on that one. I mean, sometimes it feels like freedom, sometimes it feels like a burden. Josh?
We're communists. There's no such thing as freedom.
Of course, we're all from Russia. No, we're never.
Yeah.
No, I've never been
We're
to
from
Russia.
Rushka. The Russian
Never
band.
been to Russia. I like how people comment sometimes. I love that you comment. And we enjoy that you comment on stuff. But yeah, yeah.
To answer your question, I get what you guys are saying. It's like sometimes I have it and it feels like more of a task to complete that schedule, and I'm running around and it's causing anxiety and stress to get it done, rather than just going like, hey, this is what I got to get done. So what I try to do is, maybe I know if I list out like 20 things, I try to knock it down to 5. I'll do my best to get those 5 things done, and try not to stress it, because like that's how my work week goes. My work week, I'll tell you right now, we had a quick phone meeting this afternoon with the crew of what's going on this week and how important this week is, and it's crucial for no one to miss, to not have no call, no shows, because I got a lot of traveling to do around the state this week for estimates and jobs. So I can't be filling in for anybody And you know, a lot what happens is I'll have like this 4-day schedule, and then it just goes out the window. Like I'm 3 weeks behind on my work schedule right now, and that's killing me.
Yeah. I mean, do you feel like because you keep adding stuff, it takes longer to get everything done, or are you glad
It's
that you're adding?
prioritizing. It's unfortunately some of the shit just has to get clipped and put to the back burner completely. You got to prioritize what has to go first, what needs to get done. You know, we got snow stuff that still needs to be put out. You know, today I'm working on, you know, the low bed driver, trying to get things situated. A lot of equipment that needs to be moved, then blocks, salt, you know, additional equipment coming in, and it's just trying to make sure things keep going and it's non-stop. That's why like the downtime kind of this time of year especially is there's no downtime because this is a shitty year where like there's not a lot of money coming in, but there's a lot of, you know, moving parts that have to be dealt with that, you know, a lot of people don't see that don't necessarily produce money right now, but they will in like January. And it has to get done. So keeping that schedule is kind of crucial. But some of the stuff that's on there ends up getting clipped, and it sucks because you want to get it done, and you just let it go.
Right. So do you think making a list is easier to get through the daily schedule and get through all that stuff, so that way you don't have to worry about that when it comes to that time?
Yeah, and prioritizing what's on that list and rotating it over to the next day. But I usually have like a 2-3 day rule. If there's something on that list that doesn't get done in those 2-3 days, then it gets penched. It just gets pegged off. Like it's not that urgent, and I get to it when I get to it. You know,
Okay.
or I have to delegate it to somebody else.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree with that because like prioritizing things, obviously you want to get the things that you need to get done first, right? And then like everything else goes to the back burner. But at what point do you start to realize that something that you need to get done and you don't have a chance to do it yet? Like you said, Josh, delegate it to somebody else. Like time is money. We all agree with that, right? Time
Yeah.
is money. So like if you're spending so long on trying to get this one project done, is it going to be cheaper for you to hire somebody else to get it done right then and there so you could work on something else and make some more money on the side?
I think it is sometimes. Yeah. I think if you can afford it and it's in your budget to do it, and you know it's something that needs to be done, yeah, I think that it's worth hiring the person to do it if you don't have the time.
I don't know if you can see this, but I got the perfect example of that. All right, so you can't see that, but that's my battery meter in one of my dump trucks, and you know, that's the one that's going to carry the leaves and all that stuff for the cleanups. And we had an issue a couple weeks ago where it wasn't charging, and we took it out of commission. You know, I didn't want to wait for the mechanic to come over and install whatever needed to be installed. Went and got a brand new alternator, put it in. Still wasn't charging correctly. You know, I think it was not 12 volts out of the alternator after battery. Moved around, screwed around with the wiring, rewired a couple things, still nothing. Then got a no start. And I had to call in a mobile mechanic to take care of it. And sure as shit, he went in and bench tested. It was a bad brand new alternator. You know, but I would have spent a ton of time on that. I already did. I spent probably $800 in parts. You know what I mean? Just to renew everything, and then my time, and then bring him in. I should have just brought him in the first place, but I didn't want to wait. But in the long run, I ended up having to wait an extra 2 weeks.
Right.
So,
Wow. See, so it does come in handy if you can do it. But when do you make that decision that you need to say, okay, I need to hire somebody to do that?
I think a lot of it comes down to like knowing what your limitations and your capabilities are, you know, and it's like sometimes like we all want to try to learn how to do something different and figure something out. Like it's part of being a man, right? Like trying to be the one to say, yeah, I fixed it. Like, you know, check it out. But,
Right.
but I think a lot of that is just the kind of being a little more humble to things and be like, you know what, it's going to be a lot easier for me to have somebody else do it. I can figure something else or work on something else and be more productive at the end of it all.
True. I definitely think that. Josh, your thoughts on anything else on that? He's in limbo.
Like, I think he really see the thing. Like, this is a perfect example. Josh needs to hire somebody who could fix his microphone because he's been trying to fix it for like 8 episodes now. And had he just had somebody fix it in the first place, he'd have no issues.
I mean, yeah, he makes all that big money. He could have just bought one and had somebody sitting there across from him, you know, editing this stuff right out, you know.
I need to have a media crew for my
Yeah.
big media life, my social media life.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So now, Josh, you said you're literally balls to the wall on getting stuff done, correct? To prepare for winter in January.
Dude, everything. I have paving jobs left. I have a couple hardscape things left. I got a bunch of landscaping stuff left we're doing. And then, yeah, I have to move front end loaders out, skid steers out, trucks. I still have to do some training with winter employees and subcontractors. So there's a lot, and some of that will be delegated. Some of my top guys that work directly for my company who will go out and handle some of that stuff for me. But a lot of it, I kind of want to be hands on because this is the first year on the snow aspect of it that we've spread so far across our service area that I want to make sure I have my hand in every basket.
Right. How big is your service area now this winter then? 25-mile radius, 50-mile radius?
About a 40, 45-mile radius.
Okay, so 45-mile radius.
Yeah.
So that's a real big thing. How are you planning to handle all that when are you going to be in all these areas throughout a snow event? No.
So I have zone managers. So we're broken up into 3 zones. So it's 3 zones that are 44, anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes apart from one another. And it's not like they're scattered. Like there'll be one 35 minutes from the 45. It's literally in in this one instance in Boston, there's 3 other commercial complexes that we service within like a 15-minute drive.
Okay.
And on the North Shore and Saugus and Peabody where we are, they're all within, you can service that with a front end loader on Route 1. I know that I'm just throwing some geography out there to everybody, but then ideally you can go up and down a small highway, and service all these properties. So there are some logistics built into it where it made sense. It's not, when we talk road density, it's not dense, but it's sense of the fact that each zone has its own team in place, and then each zone has its own manager in place. I'll be working closer to the city. The reason for that is because they get less snow. I think the area that I'm working in averaged like 13 inches last year and 22 the year before. I am looking for someone to run a front end loader in Cambridge, Massachusetts. It would be a full size SDLG 938 with a 14-foot pusher. So any licensed operators looking for work in the Cambridge or Boston area, feel free to reach out. But that'll be my zone, and that also does allow me to move around a little bit more, because obviously the way Massachusetts works now is our snow belt is so messed up where it used to be, from Boston over to Springfield, we get the hit. Now it's more like, west of Lowell and, west of Worcester is kind of getting the snow. It's a very steep snow line now, where I'm able to actually cover a few areas if I have to travel anywhere. So
that's good. That's good. I mean, so these managers that you're having do the zones, they've been with you for years doing this?
2 of them, and one of them is just a sole winter employee.
Okay. All right. So, okay. That's pretty good. So how many trucks and pushers are you going to have running this year compared to last year?
Our own.
Did you double?
No. I mean, I'm just trying to think with subcontractors and everything. It's like I think it's somewhere around like 11 trucks.
Okay.
With subcontractors, 6 or 7 skid steers, and three of our own loaders, and then 2 subcontractor loaders. Not a huge operation, but big enough for what we do. And, we hit it hard, and I overstaff, and I'm a little extra when it comes to the storms to make sure that things are done right because I've managed 1 million square foot properties, probably under-equipped, and having a salt out of the back of a dump truck with a broken sander with 3 guys in the sander slinging salt. And, I don't want to be in that position again. So I make sure that I kind of overdo it a little. I spend the extra money and I probably shrink my profit margin, but customer's happy, my insurance company's happy, and it gets done.
Right. Right. I think that's the main thing is you want to have a great customer base and have them to be happy. Is that correct? So, I mean, even if you are, especially in snow removal, I feel like even if you are a little heavy on, materials, employees, equipment, you're going to get it done right and you're going to get it done on time, which a lot of the customers want it done at a certain time. They want it done before they open or before a certain hour of the day, so I think by having that and overstaffing for snow, I think it helps out in the long run in the long, main way. So, we've done subcontracting before, and I think that we were looking into doing some subcontracting again this year because we lost one of our bigger accounts. And one of the guys that we did subcontracting does kind of the same thing with you, like you do, Josh. He subcontracts a lot of his stuff out. He has his own crew that goes out and pretty much what they do is salt. And then he has some of the subcontractors do some salting for him, but it's only people that he trusts to do the salting. So that way he knows it's getting done the right way and not putting like a little bit of salt down and saying, okay, I salted the whole parking lot, in a car crash or somebody slip and fall and it comes back on him.
Yeah.
So
See, salting for me would always be in-house.
yeah, I think go ahead.
There's more money in the salt than there is in the pushing.
Right.
I'd rather sub all the pushing out and not have to buy any equipment. I mean, dude, the cost of equipment's fucking. You want to buy a Cat 928, it's like $170,000. So you got to carry that note, maintenance, operator. It's expensive. I'd rather just have a few $6,000 Sanders in my trucks and like that.
Right.
We're doing on our District 2, which is the North Shore. This is my first year getting into liquids. As far as pre-treatment with liquids, so that's going to be interesting. We're going that way.
Right.
What was your game plan with that? Like switching it up, going with the liquids, like what different things did you have to do to plan for this year around?
Not much. So in that area, I have 3 trucks working that area. One of them is going to carry a 4-yard Boss sander. So there isn't really a lot. And then the other one is a 1.8 Steelcaster. So there isn't much need for all 3 to have salters on them. So one of the pickup trucks was kind of just sitting bare. And I had purchased a water tank, a calcium brine tank, a few years ago with the hopes of kind of dabbling in it, but never did. And the idea was that in that area, we're kind of seasonal heavy, meaning they're locked in contracts with a set amount for regardless of how much it snows. So if it snows 100 inches or it snows 0 inches, we make the same amount of money. So obviously for me, on like a light or average snow year, my variable is going to be the amount of salt I put down, and $90 to $100 per ton of salt with labor versus $50 per gallon, which covers an acre for liquid salt, is a big difference for me. Plus, it's a little bit more eco-friendly. They can move a little bit faster doing it. I'm not investing into a huge setup. I have a single lane 300-gallon tank going in the back of a Dodge 2500. If we like it, one of the dump trucks is going to be retired next year, and we'll probably put a flatbed on that, maybe get a 1,000-gallon tank, and have that do the entire portfolio of pre-treat. We run Snow Raiders that have the liquid tanks built into them, so we've been using those for a while on certain applications, which we'll use those also for pre-treatment walkways this year. So at the same time, it cuts back on the material, cuts back on cost, gives us a little bit more of a markup on the pre-treat. The during treat, which is like a partial, and the post treat will be granular. So
yeah, I remember a few years back. I think when I went out to see you over at your Andover spot, you had you were telling me about getting the water tank so you could do the brine.
Yeah, and we just kind of walked away from it because at the time we just had so much invested in salt, and a lot of customers just wanted to see it. They want to see the granular on the, and I get that, I understand. Like they see it, they know it's not gonna, they know it's not gonna slip, and that's why we still stick to it for post-treat. But pre-treating, the advantage of pre-treating too, you can pre-treat up to 48 hours before a storm, and it's not getting, it's not getting washed away, or it's not getting, blown away or anything like that. So the guys can go out and kind of plan around that. There are certain zero tolerance accounts that we do have to put some granular down. But for the most part, I want to say like 95% of the accounts will be able to, in that area, will be able to pre-treat with liquid.
Yeah.
And I'm not. We're gonna custom build our own system from the electric pump down to the valves. We're using PVC and some plumbing and just run it that way. And then, like I said, next year, if it shows good return this year, then we'll probably go into a whole gas setup with a valve, maybe like a VSI setup or something like that.
So now, are you keeping that liquid in house,
So
or do you buy somewhere else beforehand?
no, so the way I'm going to do it, I don't want to keep it in house again because where our yard is, we don't have any accounts. Well, that's a lie. We have 2 accounts, but they're not. Those areas are subbed out completely to guys that do a little bit of salting for us and stuff. They're very small. What we'll do is we're going to purchase totes from a place where we would buy the brine.
Okay.
So we're going to buy totes, and there'll be 6 or 7 totes at that main location. And at any time, they'll be able to drain that tote into the into the water tank that's in the truck that's going to supply the lot. After a storm or 2, once they start running low, they'll run a trailer up and they'll replenish the totes and send them back. And then again, next year, if it works out, then we'll probably make our own. I can't imagine that it would be that hard to make it. It's not like we need a lot. We don't do the Amazon location we used to have, so it's not like we have a shit ton of square footage. We have a good amount to cover, but I want to say that, on any given 3, 4, 5, maybe about like 600 gallons per application to cover that route would do it. So 2 tankfuls.
Okay. And what's the difference if you were pre-salt with rock salt? How much would you put down compared to the 600 gallons?
Well, it depends. It depends on the area, but if you're going by rule of thumb, like let's say 800 pounds per acre,
Okay.
800 pounds per acre of salt, right? So round it up, you 3/4 of a yard or a yard of salt, right?
Right.
If you're buying it in bulk, up there it's costing me $70 to have it, $70 without delivery, $90 with delivery, right? So put your labor on that. Let's call that about $125 a yard might cost, right?
Right.
Versus the brine, the liquid brine is going to cost me. I'm sorry, liquid sodium is going to cost me $1 a gallon.
Okay.
40 gallons per acre, going 10 miles an hour.
Wow.
So $40 an acre, add in your labor time, you're under the $100 mark.
Right.
And granted, with that salt, everybody has their own way of doing it. But some places you go a little less, some places you go a little bit more. If you have maybe like a dark zone being an area of a parking lot that might not get a lot of sun all day, you might have to go a little heavier.
Right.
And then you have some that hit that they get the sun hit all day, so you can go maybe 500 pounds per foot per acre. But full number would be 800 to 1,000.
I'm gonna try a DIY homeowners brine mix this winter and see how it works.
I'd like to know the results on it. I mean, we talked about brine probably 8 years ago, and we pushed away from it because we'd have to make it at our own place because at that time there was nobody out here making it in our area, so we would have had to make it all in house. We didn't have a good spot to make it at that point. Now that we have a good spot, we have ability to bring in, a whole bunch of rock salt to make it. I think we could do brine, but I mean, I'd like to see the difference between on a pre-salting and how good of a difference it does for you, Josh.
I think it'll make a huge difference. I don't know off the top of my head. Again, I don't have all the answers for brine. I think throughout this year, I'm going to do a little bit more research. Like I don't know exactly how many yards it takes to make a gallon. I think with a yard of salt, that stretches you pretty goddamn far. So but let's use the example of $100 per yard cost. That would probably get you a few applications on. That would probably get you a few applications. That just popped up in my window. a few applications of brine. So I think it's going to help with the scrape. So we'll see.
Okay. Makes it easy. I mean, it makes it easier to scrape it from what I know on when you're brining it from a lot of the cities that use it around us. So I think it's going to make it a lot easier for you probably in the long run. JC, you said you were going to use some of your own to try to do it.
No, I've never done it before, so I kind of want to see how it works out. I don't really know where to look for like a brine recipe. I'm sure they're easy to find online or even a product.
YouTube.
Yeah, but I mean, you figure like Josh said, 48 hours you have to use it. I kind of want to test that out.
Yeah.
Well, here's the theory, right? So if you go to Home Depot, certain Home Depots, the one in my area, JC, they sell their gallons. They sell them in a 2-gallon packet. I would just go up and take a photo of the ingredients or take a photo of the blend and just to see exactly if you can get what the ratios are.
Yeah, it's not
usually I believe it's just salt to water. And
yeah. From what we used to research it was salt and water. I don't think there is really anything else in it unless you're adding dye or like calcium to it. And pretty much, that's all it is, really. You're just putting it in, you're mixing it. Because usually one of those brine mixers is just like a big vat that has a big wheel and it just keeps spinning it till it just, grows down to all liquid at that point. So
I'd like to try like a brine with calcium chloride,
Yeah. Yeah, that would work.
And that's the big money. So when I get to I don't know what the fuck that is.
I don't know.
Oh man, that's for I'm sorry, boy. Sounds like a fucking American Dad character. What the fuck was I just gonna say?
Brine.
Brine, yeah. Brine. So when I say sodium, so the stuff I'm gonna go with this year, that's I'm paying to pick it up with the total $1 a gallon. The liquid calcium, which is obviously my target, where I want to get to is a little bit more expensive. It's supposed to be a little bit more potent and cleaner. I want to say that's about like $2 to $2.50 to $2.75 a gallon.
So that's not bad, really, if you think about it. I mean,
but that's picking it up. That's not making it. I think when I get to the point next year, that's when I would go in and probably purchase, whatever the makers are, and obviously have to have some sort of enclosure to make it, and then the reservoir tanks.
Yeah, I mean okay. So then, if you did that, would you make it at your place and then ship it to different areas? Making it.
I don't think so. I think what I would do is probably, like I said, so I have one dump truck in particular that's going to go into retirement for the landscape season. It would probably become full-time brine or liquids. And if that was the case, I would imagine that I would keep that at the shop because it would only be used for pre-treat and maybe post-treat on certain applications where whoever is running that truck would just go right to the shop and deal with it rather than having to distribute the totes all the way. Right now, I just don't have infrastructure for it. So it's easy to just pick up these totes and have them dropped off at the locations where they're going to use it.
Right. So just looking up real quick, it says it takes 35 to 40 ounces or 3.5 cups of rock salt to make a gallon of brine.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good, dude, to be able to make that much brine.
Cups in a gallon treats an acre.
Yeah.
So
there you go, JC. You're gonna be like Walter White making it up in your garage, making up some brine for Josh. I can see it now.
Something to do on my downtime, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Look, Josh, I got 10 gallons for you. I'll sell it to you for $1 a piece. Oh, I can see it now.
I'll be a brine distributor.
Yeah, a brine distributor. Yeah. But I think it works out great if you can do it, and it works out for you, Josh. More power to you, man. I think that it comes out to being cheaper in the long run. Especially if you can make it yourself.
Sure.
Yeah. So now, as you're expanding more that way, you said you would like to get rid of like pushers if you could, and just go salt and brining.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I would prefer to just sub it out. Hard part is right now, a lot of guys are getting out of it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
the like you hear all the quotes from people on podcasts where like it's a race to the bottom with the pricing for commercial and HOA snowplow contracts. It really is lately, just because it's been the lack of snow has been hurting a lot of guys, which it'll turn around at some point, but it's hard to find people. I mean, it's even hard to find employees, just because it's like now it's not even a part-time job. It's kind of like, hey, you might get called out 5 or 6 times,
Right.
depending on the area we call you into service. So it's, sometimes it's easier to have, service partners or subcontractors where it's like, hey, Scott, you have a couple loaders for your farm work or your dirt work. We have the pushers. If you want to come over, all you got to do is push. We'll take care of the shoveling and the salting. I'd prefer to go that way, man.
Right.
I don't do dirt work with loaders. So the problem is like owning the loaders for me. I don't have brand new loaders at all.
Right.
My newest is a 2020, but I don't do anything with them. They just sit there, so they'll rot out before they die. That's the problem.
Right.
And I don't really have any intention of putting them to work in the dirt or Aggie field, because then they'll just be beat on. So
Right.
it's like it's like a catch-22 where I'd rather just be like, hey, I'll take care of all the salt and you take care of all the plowing.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. There is a lot of people that, especially in our area, that have dropped out of doing snow this year, and I have seen an increase in that. We're in the process looking for a plow for one of our trucks, a Boss plow, and I'm looking at more of the used because the newer is just so expensive. I mean, it's more of like, about $9,000 for a brand new V plow, and
Yeah.
you can get a used one for like $3,800 anymore. So I mean, we're looking at more of the used, but it's just I see on Facebook ads of all these people that are just, I'm going out of business. I need to sell this. I'm going out of business. I'm selling this. We had one of our big salt suppliers. They went out of business because literally they couldn't sell enough salt last year. So it was like, I see how it is, that these people it's been a big effect since the snow is not there the last couple of years.
No.
Has that affected you, Josh, in any way?
Just a downward spiral of pricing. Like people don't want to pay, what it actually costs to maintain these properties. So it's kind of a race to the bottom tier pricing. We have a lot of all-inclusive contracts. I think I've mentioned this before. Like, one of my goals is to get more variable accounts where it's per push. So you do have the difference, but over the past few years, I've built high on the guaranteed contracted seasonal contracts, just to cover my bills. Yeah, cover the equipment payments, cover the insurance payments, the rent in the yard, the salt, the blocks. Everything adds up. So I just make sure I have enough to cover everything, and then when those variables come in, they'll make the difference. But I'm going to continue to build it and build it and build it and build it.
I think that's a good thing. I mean, that's a good way and a good goal to have, is to be able to keep growing and keep building it, the way you want to build it. So, more power to you. And I think that's, everybody needs to do that if they want to do something, and want to be to a certain point, to just keep growing, keep going, making those goals and getting to that point. So JC, how many times are you going to go out and plow with Josh? I want to know that.
I mean, I drove by his house yesterday, and I screamed at him, but
Beeped
I don't
out
know.
the window.
I want to. I'm just like, man, I'm the biggest procrastinator in the world, and even when it comes to like hanging out with people, Josh has said it before in the past, but like I wanted to go out with him last year to go plowing, but I never made it out. That was on me. But we'll see. We'll see how this winter goes, and I don't want to disrupt them either, too, because I don't know if he's going to get behind a plow this year. Are you?
I'm trying not to, but I mean, I'm obviously going to have to be out there.
Right.
But my goal is to not to. But I don't. Again, this being my first year with such a widespread territory, I kind of have to be on the road. Hopefully I'm not having to be out. 48 hours on a milestone checking on everything. That's kind of the reason of delegating. This is the first year I'm going to have my territory managers a salary. So, that's a plus. They make money. So obviously the expectation of them is high. So I don't have to go up there.
This is how it's going to be, though. If I do make it out with him on plowing on one night, number one, we're going to definitely document it with a video or vlog it. And then number two, he is going to be buying dunks all night because that's going to be a long night. And he better know where the 24-hour dunks are.
Unfortunately, you don't know though. I know what 24-hour dunks.
Yes and no.
There might be one or two in the whole state. No. Since COVID, things are slightly starting to make
You're right.
a return. So, Cumberland Farms up in Lawrence, Massachusetts, right around the area we're based out of, just went back to 24 hours, and they're still very scattered 24 hours. It depends on if they have people to fill the shift. There aren't many. Most of the dunks now have just gone back to staying open till 8 p.m.
The one in my town in Spencer that used to be 24 hours, man. Dunkin' Donuts. It was just it wasn't a gas station Dunkin' Donuts. It was just a single Dunkin' Donuts. 24 hours, man.
Huh.
And then COVID happened, and then you're right. They never went back to doing it again.
Dude, the worst thing with that, when you're a plow truck driver, if you eat the wrong thing before all those gas station closes, bro, like to hold that because when I tell you right now, there are a few things that are open, just a few things are open in our area. I think there was one gas station that had stayed open, and it was a few miles, away from my closest site. But man, it was bad. And now my area will be in the city. They don't allow anybody to use the bathrooms down there on a normal day. Never mind during a snowstorm. So that can get brutal.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I mean, it's gotten worse since COVID. I agree with Josh on that. I mean, snow plowing beforehand, gas stations were open 24 hours. They're not open 24 hours. So it's amazing how much it's changed. And it's, I mean, it's a plus because with gas stations closed, there's not as many people out there, running around at 3:00 on a snowstorm trying to be like, oh, I got to get that last beer in, before, the bar, before the gas station closes. So that's a plus. But like Josh said, when you got to go to the bathroom or you need something to drink, you're like, what the hell do I do? Like, I'm stuck till 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock when the place is open, and you're like, come on, like.
Yeah. And then you get all the state and town guides and the combos that are like, I hate to say it, but they're like the 300-pound guys that have been in the truck all night that they just like gangbang the toilets and like the local company farms, and it's just like forget it.
Either wear a diaper or shit in the brine.
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that one. I really don't. I mean, it'll melt the snow. That'll be a good thing, but I don't know how much more we want to go with that. So, yeah, I think it's snow plowing is very interesting. It is a good money maker. Any type of removing of snow is always a great money maker if you're allowed. I mean, have you seen, Josh, or have you seen anything, the pricing change for you down in your area? Like people having to want to save money on snow, you said?
Pricing changes.
Yeah.
I don't know necessarily like a pricing change. I just like we don't close a lot of our bids that we put out, but I just know that we don't get a lot of the certain ones I think we would get that we came in competitively. And obviously people are going with the bottom tier pricing on that. I have noticed like the national pricing is like drastically dropped. It's always been bad. Like I just had Procure-Sys, which is kind of like a multimedia broker that works for basically they're like the middleman that works for all the brokers, and they basically just kind of blast out all the open bids they have. They have one, a FedEx in South Boston that I probably would be It's a 24-hour account. It's a distribution center. I'd probably be around like 90,000, all inclusive, and they're trying to send it out for $10,000 for the season.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I know, like, look, I do a lot of work with Case, FMS, Case Snow Management, and I bust their balls. They were just awarded the Walmart contracts, and the pricing is an absolute joke. And the only reason why I openly talk about this is because I voiced it with the head of procurement, the procurement officer, the account managers, and the regional operations manager. Where I'm like, that's a fucking joke. Like, they're coming out. There's a couple of the Walmarts out here that need to be priced at around 95,000, and they got guys covering it for 35.
Wow.
And everybody's been to a Walmart. You know how busy Walmarts are at any given time of the day of the year.
Right.
They're a walking hazard.
Right. Except for when they're closed.
And that's the only upside is, like, I think a lot of the ones in this area, which there aren't a lot, not the one where I live, but my service areas, they used to be 24, not anymore. They actually closed down. So it gives you some time, but still, that's dragging it down, because what I see with that is you get a lot of the young guys and new guys that try to start in snow, and they're trying to get an idea of like how to price per acre or how to price salt per acre. And then they see a company like Case or Ferrandino or SMS or USM or one of these guys, or MCOR, and then you're sending out a bid for $10,000 for a FedEx and $20,000 to $35,000 for a Walmart, when they're not even close. When that's a rat race to the bottom right there. These are just these companies trying to battle each other just for the portfolio,
Right.
to get it. Because at the end of the day, they're still making their margin off it because they're not fucking doing anything.
Right.
They're passing the note on it.
Right.
And then a lot of guys think that, that's a 25-acre site, so it's it's 4,000 an acre per year, which don't even make sense,
Right.
And that does contribute to people driving down pricing and stuff. But
Right.
at the end of the day, it's your performance. You got to know that even if you buy, like, dude, a used loader, like a 1997 John Deere, is still going to cost you $40,000-$50,000.
Right.
A used 12 to 14 foot pusher that's in decent shape with a rubber edge, without having to do anything, is going to cost you, $2,500 to $3,800. The fuel in it per storm is going to cost you $150. So it's like you got wear and tear, you got cost there. How does it even make sense? Some guys will go, hey, I own the machine outright for 40 grand. I can get 20 grand a place for it. Why would you want to do that? I mean, the machine works. That old still works. Get your 80 grand for it, and be able to upgrade that and add machines or add another 97.
Right. But do you feel like Case and all them are like making it harder for us as guys that have been in the business for years, harder to get the jobs that we know we can handle because they're giving it to they're pricing them so low to give out to the lower guys?
Well, the reality check is like these big box stores are never going to go with a small mom and pop operation like us, right? They're looking for the middle management company that has a portfolio of subcontractors. And there's nothing wrong with being a broker. It's just the means in what they do it, where they're honestly just shifting liability. And the problem is like, this is what drives insurance rates through the roof. Insurance in the snow industry has done nothing but gone up and up and up and up and up and up and up. And now you're at the point where there's only like 3 or 4 companies that write snow policies throughout the whole country. And everybody thinks it's like getting car insurance. No, there's only a handful of companies that will do it. It all depends on the endorsements and the verbiage that you need. But you get a guy that will do that FedEx in Boston for $10,000. With $10,000, he can't really afford the equipment he needs to keep up with that. He's not going to afford, a bin of salt's going to cost you $2,500. The bin blocks are going to cost you $2,500 delivered. You know what I mean? That's $5,000 right there. That's half of your budget. And then what happens when you got a slip and fall? You're not able to service the property. It just goes through the roof. The rates go up. So the middleman and the small guys like us, we get torqued on our policies. The nationals just move on. These guys have. That's why I see people on Facebook just say no to the nationals. It's like, listen, you think that they got fucking 50 guys in their Rolodex? No, they got thousands of companies that they just sit there and call up, and someone will bite the bullet on it.
Right.
But if people would stop being so goddamn ignorant and passive aggressive with the fucking pricing bullshit and say, well, don't touch it if you don't know, educate people in your community. You know, you don't have to give away your pricing tier, but if you had market value or something, if you're in the market for a new refrigerator, mid-grade, you're paying $800 to $1,500 for a mid-grade fridge. You're in that range that you can reference that.
Right. I think you got to help out everybody. Everybody has to be out there for each other, especially when it comes to our businesses, because I think it's better if you know somebody else that's in there like us that can help you, even anybody that can help you in their area, because if having your prices pretty much close around the area to where it should be, instead of doing a big property like that for 10,000 and not making anything off of it, is going to help out in the long run.
No. Like the easiest way to look at it is if you got a parking lot, right, and you own a loader or you own a skid steer and you own a truck, you look at that parking lot and you look at how long is it going to take me to plow that with my plow truck, my 8-foot plow and my 98 F350, probably 45 minutes to plow heavy snow. Yeah, of course, you put a loader on there with a 14-foot pusher on a 930 cat, it maybe take you 25 minutes. Price it for what the plow is and meet in between where the plow and loader time is, and that's how you price it versus your hourly rate of what it costs you to do business. Boom, you got a number right there.
Yeah, I think it's better if you know how long it's gonna take you looking at it. I think when you first get into it, you're into a point where you don't know exactly how you can take care of it and how long it's going to take you. But I think by looking at it, you can kind of gauge sometimes on how long it's going to take you.
Right.
Correct? Yeah.
Listen, most people start out in residential. You can kind of gauge the time. If you look at every single driveway you had and you add up the square footage plus your drive time, it's going to take some time to do some math, but you can kind of figure out how long it takes you to plow an acre with the drive time. The drive time out of your route, you can figure it out fairly quickly. So it's again, you can also do the math of you're not plowing a full 8-foot width. You're plowing maybe 6'8" or 7'2", versus how many passes of across a 43,000 square foot lot. It's just figure out the math. They got dummy calculators on Google to help you figure that stuff out.
Right. Or go ahead and buy a back plow or buy a big box and push.
You have someone that you've been mentioning that might come on this show.
Yes.
Not
Rob.
A person. Well, no, not Rob. An organization that you talk to.
I talked to some good people over the week.
I'm saying that because I can't remember the name of the organization. I don't know if it was Storks or what.
Storm management.
Storm management. Storm management.
Yep.
So storm management, if you listen to the Snow Jobs podcast, they're coming out with Storm Academy, which I think is a brilliant idea and honestly professionalizes the industry in a sense where, guys can maybe send like their top tier guys, their foreman and their supervisor and zone managers out to really learn what it takes to plow. And they're going to have, live instructors and they're going to make snow. And I think that's really fucking cool. And then you can get into the classroom side of it where you can say, hey, X amount versus X amount, for acre versus obstacles and, salting, brine and all that crap would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it would be real great. Well, that's about all we have for today, guys. I want to thank everybody that's been watching us on Instagram, YouTube, and wherever you guys are listening to us or watching us. Thank you guys for watching us and listening to us. Keep listening to us. We got lots more. Subscribe, like us, definitely. Send us questions if you got any questions for us, or if you got a topic that you might want to ask Josh or JC. We're always open to it, unless it's something weird, kind of kinky stuff. We might not go with that, but who knows? But thank you guys for listening to us. Thank you, Cujo, for sponsoring us. We got a lot more coming up, guys. There's going to be a lot more shows and a lot more coming. So definitely stick with us. Keep watching us. Keep listening to us. And thank you, guys.